No response came. Meanwhile, 3 more species left the Council to join humanity's alliance. 2 more human stations opened. Humanity walked away in silence. The Council regretted it immediately. 1 year after humanity left, the Council was dying. Not quickly, not dramatically, but steadily, like a plant cut off from water. Station Master Kyung-soo stood in an empty warehouse section, counting the vacant spaces. 43 empty warehouses, 78 closed shops, 9 abandoned office complexes. His station, which once handled billions of credits in trade every day, was becoming a ghost town. "We're down to 30% of our peak volume," his assistant reported. Her orange fur had lost its shine. "Everyone looked tired these days. If we drop below 25%, we won't generate enough revenue to maintain life support." "What about the Emergency Council subsidies?" "Delayed again. The Council Treasury is having liquidity problems." Kyung-soo laughed bitterly. The Council Treasury was running out of money. A year ago, that would have been unthinkable. Now it was just one more impossible thing in a list of impossible things. "The merchant guilds are requesting permission to trade directly with human networks," his assistant said carefully. "Denied. Council regulations forbid. Sir, if we deny them, they'll just leave. Set up operations in neutral space. Then we lose them entirely." Kyung-soo was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "Approved. Tell them to do what they need to do." It was a surrender. Everyone knew it. But there was no other choice. In the council chambers, a fight was breaking out. Councillor Thane and High Arbiter Velthas were arguing loudly, their voices echoing through the half-empty room. Many council members had stopped attending sessions. Their species were too busy dealing with economic collapse to care about politics. "Your people attacked our convoy," Thane shouted. His forearms were spread wide in aggression. 3 ships destroyed, 200 Viridian citizens dead. "Your convoy was in disputed territory," Velthas shot back. His scales had darkened to almost black with rage. "Territory that my people claimed 50 years ago. That claim was never recognized by the Council, because you blocked recognition. Because you wanted the mining rights for yourself. This is exactly the kind of nonsense we need to stop," Councillor Rin said loudly. She stood between them, trying to restore order. "We're tearing ourselves apart over things that don't matter." "Don't matter?" Thane turned on her. "My people are dead." "That matters, it matters," Rin agreed. "But it wouldn't have happened if we still had human mediators. They would have solved this territorial dispute months ago before it turned violent. They would have found a compromise that let both sides save face. That's what they did for us. For years. And we never even noticed." "We don't need humans to manage our affairs," Velta said. "Then why are we failing to manage them ourselves?" Rin asked. No one had an answer. The truth was that small disputes had been erupting across council space for months. Border conflicts, trade disagreements, cultural misunderstandings. The kind of problems that used to get solved quietly were now escalating into threats and violence. Without human mediators working behind the scenes, the council members were remembering old grudges, old rivalries, old reasons to hate each other. The alliance was breaking down. 3 council species had already declared they were leaving. They announced new partnerships with humanity's consortium instead. Better trade terms, better security guarantees, better treatment. The council was hemorrhaging members, and no one knew how to stop it. At a military command center on the Krillian border, alarms were screaming. General Vexnor ran to his command station, pulling up tactical displays as he moved. "Report," he barked. "Pirate fleet, sir. 60 ships. They're attacking the Helian shipyards." Vexnor felt his blood turn cold. The Helian shipyards were one of the Council's largest military production facilities. If the pirates destroyed it, replacing those construction capabilities would take years. "Scramble all available ships. Full response. Sir, our nearest patrol is 40 minutes away." 40 minutes? The shipyard will be rubble in 40 minutes. "What about rapid response teams?" "Sir, we don't have rapid response teams anymore. We have standard patrols on standard routes. That's all we can coordinate," Vexnor wanted to scream. A year ago, when Captain Bora had been running the defense network, this wouldn't have happened. Sensors would have detected the pirate fleet while they were still assembling. Analysis programs would have identified them as a threat. Response teams would have been dispatched immediately. The pirates would have been intercepted before they got anywhere near the shipyards, but Bora was gone. Her systems were gone, and Vexnor's people were too slow, too disorganized, too inefficient to protect their own territory. The Helian shipyards burned. 8 military vessels under construction were destroyed. The facility itself suffered massive damage. It would take 2 years to repair, 2 years during which the Council couldn't build new warships. General Vexnor submitted his report to the Council. It was brutal and honest. Our defense capabilities have been reduced by approximately 60% since the departure of human military advisors. We cannot adequately protect Council territory with current resources and coordination methods. The report was classified immediately. The Council didn't want anyone to know how vulnerable they had become. On Thoria III, the medical center was struggling through another crisis. A new plague had appeared in the eastern territories. Not as deadly as the last one, but spreading faster. Dr. Milara and her team were working around the clock, trying to develop a treatment. They had Dr. Yunji's protocols. They had her notes. They had her research, but they couldn't make it work. Every plague was slightly different. The protocols needed to be adapted, and that required the kind of intuitive medical knowledge that Yunji had possessed and Milara didn't. "We need help," Milara said to the medical director. "We need to contact the humans. Ask them to send medical advisors." "The Council has forbidden direct contact with human territory," the director said tiredly. "All communications must go through official diplomatic channels." "Then use the diplomatic channels." "People are dying. I've tried. The messages go unanswered." Milara felt despair settle over her like a heavy blanket. The humans weren't refusing to help. They just weren't responding at all. Like the Council no longer existed to them. The plague killed 3,000 people before Thorian doctors figured out a treatment. 3,000 people who might have lived if Dr. Yunji had been there. If any human doctor had been there, but the humans were gone, and they weren't coming back. In a desperate closed-door session, the Council leadership met to discuss their options. Only the most senior members were present. High Arbiter Veltas, Councillor Thane, Councillor Rin, a handful of others. "We need to contact the humans," Rin said. "We need to negotiate, to apologize, to offer them whatever they want." "We already sent messages," Veltas said. "They're ignoring us." "Then send better messages. Send an official embassy, send me. I'll go to Earth myself and negotiate directly." "And what do we offer them?" Thane asked. "What can we possibly give them that they don't already have?" That was the question that made everyone go quiet. What did the Council have that humanity wanted? Technology? Humans had better technology. Trade access? Human trade networks were more efficient than Council networks. Military protection? Human military power was superior. Knowledge? Humans had been the ones generating most of the knowledge. "We have nothing they need," Veltas said quietly. "That's the truth. We have nothing they need and everything to lose." "Then we offer partnership," Rin said. "True partnership. Equal status, equal votes, equal respect. We restructure the Council to give all species equal voice. We abandon the tiered system. We become what we should have been all along, a genuine alliance of equals." "That would require a complete restructuring of Council governance," one of the senior councillors said. "Species that have held power for thousands of years would lose that power. They'll never agree." "Then those species can leave," Rin said sharply, "and the rest of us will build something better." With or without them, the vote was close, very close, but in the end desperation won. The Council voted to send an official embassy to Earth. They voted to offer complete restructuring. They voted to give humans whatever they asked for. They voted to beg. Councillor Rin was chosen to lead the embassy. She spent 3 days crafting the perfect message, respectful, humble, honest about the Council's failures, clear about their willingness to change. The message was sent to Earth through every communication channel they could find. Official diplomatic channels, trade networks, even personal contacts that some Council members had maintained with human friends. For 2 weeks, nothing happened. No response, no acknowledgement, just silence. Then finally a message came back. It wasn't from Ambassador Day Wan. It was from someone named Director Seo Wan, identified as head of Human Foreign Affairs. The message was brief. "Your embassy is permitted to visit. You will travel to Frontier Station Unity in neutral space. You will bring no military escort. You will bring no more than 5 representatives. You will be granted 3 hours for your presentation. These terms are not negotiable. It was the tone of someone dictating terms to a defeated enemy, not the tone of someone speaking to a respected ally. Hi Arbit. Humanity walked away in silence. The council regretted it immediately. 6 months after the humans left, a council scout ship stumbled onto something impossible. Captain Zethara was mapping the neutral zones when her sensors picked up massive energy signatures. She followed them to find a station, but not just any station, it was huge, as large as the council's central station, maybe larger. The design was elegant and efficient in a way that made council architecture look wasteful and old. Ships of dozens of different species moved in and out of docking bays. Trade, commerce, life. Zethara scanned the station's identification beacon. It was registered to the human consortium. Construction date 4 months ago. That's impossible, her navigator said. A station that size would take years to build. Humans built it in 4 months, Zethara said quietly. She was beginning to understand something that made her very uncomfortable. She sent her report to Council Intelligence. Within hours, similar reports started coming in from other scouts. Human stations across neutral space, human colonies on unclaimed worlds, human ships everywhere carrying trade goods and passengers. The humans hadn't run away to hide. They had exploded into the galaxy like a wave. Intelligence Officer Sang-woo's report was leaked to the Council 3 days later. Someone wanted the Council to know the truth. The report was devastating. In 6 months, humanity had established 47 new colonies. They had built 12 major trading stations. They had formed trade agreements with 36 species that the Council had ignored or dismissed as too primitive or too difficult to work with. Human technology had advanced in ways that suggested they had been holding back while they were part of Council space. But the most shocking part was the military analysis. Admiral Young-ho's fleet had been spotted during a border patrol sweep. The scout ship that saw them barely escaped. Human warships are using engine technology we've never seen, the report said. Weapon systems that make our standard armaments look ancient. Defensive shields that absorbed our scan attempts without even flickering. They're not just better than us. They're generations ahead. High Arbiter Velthus read the report 3 times. Each time he felt colder. This doesn't make sense, he said to his military advisors. How could they have developed all this? Where did it come from? Sir, one advisor said quietly, we think they already had it. What? When humans joined Council space, they shared their technology with us. We thought we were getting their best. But looking at these reports, we think we were only getting what they wanted us to see. They were holding back. Velthus felt something he hadn't felt in decades, fear. Why would they hold back? The advisor hesitated. Then he said, maybe they were being polite. In the trading hub called Horizon Point, diplomat So-Jin was negotiating with the remnant species. The remnants were what the Council called the small species, the ones without big empires or powerful militaries, the ones the Council had deemed not worth the effort of formal relations. The remnant representatives sat around the table, looking at So-Jin with hope and suspicion mixed together. Your Council rejected you, one remnant leader said. Why should we trust you? Because we're not the Council, So-Jin said simply. We don't think species need to prove they're worthy of respect. We don't rank civilizations by age or power. We trade with anyone who trades fairly. We ally with anyone who wants peace. Simple as that. And what do you want from us? Trade, knowledge, friendship, same thing we wanted from the Council. But we'll treat you as equals, not as primitives who need to earn their place. The remnant leaders talked among themselves in their own languages. Then they turned back to So-Jin. The Council has resources we need, technology, medicine. They could crush us if we anger them by allying with you. So-Jin pulled up a star chart. It showed the Council's territory. Then she overlaid humanity's new network. Trade routes, stations, allied species, defense agreements. The Council is shrinking, So-Jin said. Look at these numbers. Their economy is down 23% since we left. Their trade routes are failing. Species are leaving the Council to join us because we offer better terms and better partnership. The Council is living on reputation, and that reputation is fading fast. She closed the chart. You're worried about the Council crushing you. I'm telling you the Council is breaking apart, and when it falls, do you want to be standing with the old empire? Or building something new with us? The remnant leaders signed the trade agreement that day. So did 5 other minor species the next week. By the end of the month, humanity's alliance included 40 different species. None of them were powerful, but together, they were becoming something significant. Back in council space, entrepreneur Dong Hyun was creating something revolutionary. He had started a shipping company before humanity left the council. Now he was building an empire. His trade routes went around council space, not through it, around it. He connected human colonies with remnant species with independent trading posts with neutral zone markets. Credits flowed along these routes like rivers, and none of it touched council territory. Station Master Kyung-soo watched his trade volumes drop every week. Merchants were leaving his station to trade at human-run hubs. The prices were better. The shipping was faster. The fees were lower. It was simple economics. "We're losing 30% of our trade volume," Kyung-soo's assistant reported. "If this continues, we'll have to close sections of the station." "Can we compete with human prices?" "No, their logistics system is too efficient. We'd have to operate at a loss." Kyung-soo pulled up a map of trade routes in the sector. 6 months ago, his station had been the central hub. Now it was becoming a backwater. The major routes bypassed council space entirely, flowing through human-controlled territory instead. He sent an urgent report to the council. So did 30 other station masters. All of them said the same thing. Human trade was strangling council commerce. Species that had been council trading partners for centuries were switching to human merchants. The economic foundation of the council was crumbling. But the report that finally broke through the council's denial came from an unexpected source. Councillor Thane himself. Thane's people, the Viridians, had been council members for 3,000 years. They were wealthy, powerful, respected. They had voted against humanity without a second thought. Now, Thane stood before the council with numbers that made him look 10 years older. "Our trade revenues are down 40%, Thane said, his voice flat. "Our shipping companies are reporting massive losses. 3 of our largest trading partners have switched to human merchants. We're hemorrhaging credits every single day." "This is unacceptable," Velthus said. "We need to respond, sanctions, trade embargoes. Whatever it takes to bring the humans back under control." "Under control?" Councillor Rin's voice was sharp. "They're not under our control. They never were. We just thought they were." She stood and walked to the central display. With a few commands, she brought up intelligence reports from the past 6 months. "Look at this," Rin said. 47 colonies, 12 major stations, 40 allied species, a trade network that spans half the neutral zones, military technology that makes our fleets look obsolete. And they did all of this in 6 months. She turned to face the council. "Do you know what that means? It means they could have done this any time. While they were working with us, trading with us, helping us, they could have built an empire, but they didn't. They tried to be partners instead. They tried to work within our system. They asked for equality, and we told them to prove their worth through labor." "What's your point?" Velthus asked coldly. "My point is that we're not dealing with children. We're dealing with a species that is at least our equal, possibly our superior in every way that matters. Technology, economics, military power, diplomatic skill, and we insulted them. We dismissed them. We told them they weren't good enough for us." She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "And now they're proving that they don't need us at all. They're building something bigger and better than the council, and they're doing it without us." The council chamber was silent. Then Velthus said, "What do you suggest?" "Contact them, apologize, negotiate, offer them what we should have offered before. True equality, true partnership, before it's too late, and if they refuse." Rin looked at the star chart still glowing above them. Human territory was growing like a cancer, eating away at council influence day by day. "Then the council will fade into history," she said quietly, "and humanity will inherit the galaxy." That night, the council voted to send an embassy to Earth. The vote was closer than it should have been. Many councilors still believed humanity would come crawling back, that this was all a bluff, that humans needed the council more than the council needed humans. They were wrong. But they would learn that soon enough. The message was sent to Earth. It was polite, respectful. It asked for a meeting to discuss mutual concerns and opportunities for renewed cooperation. Ambassador Daewon received the message. He read it once. Then he deleted it. 2 weeks later, he sent a reply. It was brief. "Your request has been noted. We will consider it. Nothing more. No timeline. No commitments. Just acknowledgement that the message had been received." The council waited. 1 week, 2 weeks, a month. She could feel the currents of emotion flowing through the council. Confidence from some. Anger. Humanity walked away in silence. The council regretted it immediately. 3 months after the humans left, Station Master Kyung-soo was staring at numbers that made no sense. Delivery times that used to take 3 days now took 10. Shipments that used to arrive complete now came with missing items. Costs were climbing every single day. He pulled up the old shipping manifest from when Sun-hee had been running logistics coordination. Everything had moved like clockwork. Ships arrived exactly when they were supposed to. Cargo was sorted efficiently. Routes were optimized to save fuel and time. The system had been beautiful in its efficiency. Now it was chaos. How did she do it? Kyung-soo muttered to himself, scrolling through page after page of data. Sun-hee's coordination network had connected thousands of independent shipping companies, matching cargo with available ships, optimizing routes in real time, and somehow making it all work smoothly. He had tried to rebuild the system. He had hired the best logistics experts from 3 different species. They had studied Sun-hee's old procedures and tried to copy them. But something was missing. The system didn't flow the way it used to. It was like trying to read a book with every third word missing. The cost of goods on his station had doubled. Some items had tripled in price. Traders were angry. Customers were complaining. Several businesses had already closed because they couldn't afford the new shipping costs. And it wasn't just his station. Reports were coming in from trade hubs across council space. All of them were having the same problems. The economy was starting to crack. Far out on the Krillian border, General Vexnor was having a very bad day. Pirates had attacked a supply convoy. This happened sometimes. It was why the council maintained border patrols. The patrols would intercept the pirates, drive them off, and rescue the convoy. Except the patrols had arrived too late. By the time Vexnor's ships reached the convoy, 3 transports had been destroyed and 2 others were badly damaged. The pirates had escaped into the wild territories. Vexnor sat in his command center trying to understand what had gone wrong. The sensors had detected the pirate ships. The alert had been sent. The patrol ships had responded. Everything had followed protocol, but it had all been too slow. He pulled up the old response times from when Captain Bo-Ra had been coordinating the defense network. When a pirate attack happened, human operators had analyzed the threat within seconds, calculated the optimal response, and dispatched ships immediately. The average response time had been 12 minutes from detection to interception. Today's response time had been 47 minutes. Why so slow? Vexnor demanded from his operations officer. Sir, we detected the attack at Sensor Station 7. The alert went to Command Post 3. They analyzed the threat and forwarded it to us. We then calculated which patrol ships were in range and sent them the coordinates. Standard procedure, that's too many steps. Too much delay. That's how we've always done it, sir. No, Vexnor said quietly. That's how we did it before the humans came. They changed the system. They made it faster. And now, he trailed off. The truth was bitter. Captain Bo-Ra and her people had been quietly running an automated response system. Sensors detected threats. Computers analyzed them instantly. Ships were dispatched automatically. Human operators only got involved for unusual situations. Vexnor's people had been relying on that system without understanding how it worked. Now they were back to the old way of doing things, the slow way, and people were dying because of it. He didn't report this to the council. He told himself his people just needed more practice. They would get faster. They would adapt, but in the back of his mind, he knew the truth. They needed the humans, and the humans were gone. At the Xenobiology Research Center, Dr. Telvac was failing. He had been working on the Volothian regeneration project for 6 months, trying to recreate the breakthrough that he and Dr. Minsu had been so close to achieving. He had all of Minsu's notes. He had all the data. He had all the equipment, but he couldn't make it work. The problem was that Minsu's notes described what to do, but not why. They said use protein synthesis method 7, but didn't explain how Minsu had developed that method or why it worked better than methods 1 through 6. They said cellular markers respond to compound 12, but didn't explain how Minsu had known which compounds to test or why that particular combination was effective. Dr. Telvac realized, too late, that he had been riding on Minsu's genius without understanding it. The human had done the hard thinking. the creative problem-solving, the intuitive leaps that turned good research into breakthrough discoveries. Telvac had just followed instructions. Now trying to work alone, he felt like he was walking in the dark. Every decision was a guess. Every experiment was a shot in the dark. He was wasting time and resources on dead ends that Minsu would have avoided instinctively. Other projects at the center were having similar problems. The Thorian disease resistance study had stalled. The Felvian longevity research was going nowhere. The atmospheric adaptation experiments kept producing inconsistent results. When the center's director reviewed the numbers, he found something shocking. Over the past 8 years, humans had been primary authors on 47 major papers. But they had been contributing authors on over 300 papers. 300 discoveries that other species had gotten credit for, but that humans had quietly made possible. The director didn't report this to the council. He was too embarrassed. How had he not noticed how much they were depending on human scientists? On Thoria III, the medical center faced its first real crisis. A plague broke out in the southern continent. It spread fast, infecting thousands of people within days. The symptoms were brutal. High fever, organ failure, death within 72 hours if untreated. Milara, the young nurse Dr. Yunji had trained, was working 18-hour shifts. She and the other medical staff were trying everything they could think of. Standard antibiotics didn't work. Antiviral treatments had no effect. Traditional Thorian remedies were useless. Then someone found an old case file. 2 years ago, a similar plague had appeared in the northern territories. Dr. Yunji had treated it. The file said she had used modified trauma protocol 7 with custom compound synthesis. Milara pulled up the protocol. It was there in the database, just like Yunji had promised. The steps were clear. The procedures were documented. The compound formula was included, but when Milara tried to follow it, nothing worked. The protocol assumed knowledge of human trauma medicine. It referenced techniques that Yunji had developed, but never fully documented because they had seemed too basic to write down. The compound synthesis required equipment calibrated in ways that only Yunji had known how to do. Milara tried. She tried so hard, but she was working from instructions written by someone who thought differently, who saw patterns she couldn't see, who understood biology in ways she had never learned. People died. Hundreds of people. Maybe thousands. By the time Thorian doctors figured out a treatment through trial and error, the plague had burned through 6 cities. Milara sat in an empty hospital room after it was over and cried. She had all of Dr. Yunji's protocols, all her notes, all her research, but she didn't have Yunji, and that made all the difference. On the council station, Councillor Rin was presenting her findings to a closed session of the council leadership. She had spent 3 months investigating the economic and social impacts of humanity's departure. What she found terrified her. The humans weren't just working in our economy, she explained to the gathered leaders. They were holding it together. Look at these trade statistics. Human logistics coordination increased shipping efficiency by 43%. Without it, costs are rising everywhere. Temporary, High Arbiter Velta said. We'll adapt. Look at these research numbers, Rin continued. Human scientists contributed to over 60% of our major breakthroughs in the last decade. Our research productivity has dropped by half in just 3 months. They'll catch up, Councillor Thane said. Look at these diplomatic reports, Rin said, her voice rising. The humans were mediating disputes between council members. Small disputes that we never even heard about. Border disagreements, trade complaints, cultural misunderstandings. The humans were solving these problems quietly behind the scenes, preventing them from escalating. She brought up a map showing conflict zones within council space. Red marks appeared across multiple sectors. These are disputes that have emerged in the last 3 months. The Krillian-Viridian trade war, the Felvian-Thorian border tension, the Melodian colony access protests. All of these were being managed by human mediators. Now those mediators are gone and the conflicts are escalating. That's absurd, Velta said. We don't need humans to manage our own affairs. Then why are our affairs falling apart? Rin asked. The room went silent. The truth, Rin said quietly, is that humans were the glue. They were the ones making sure everything worked. Not because we asked them to, not because they were trying to take over, but because they saw problems and solved them. Because that's who they are. What do you suggest? asked a counselor from the back. Contact them, apologize, invite them back. Offer them true equality. Absolutely not, Veltas. Humanity walked away in silence. The council regretted it. Immediately, Station Master Kyung-soo was having a normal morning until everything changed. He managed the Nexus Trading Hub, one of the largest commercial stations in council space. The station had over 10,000 shops, warehouses, and trading offices. It never slept. Credits flowed through it like water. Kyung-soo was reviewing import schedules when his assistant rushed in. She was a Felvian, covered in orange fur, and her ears were flat against her head with worry. "The humans are leaving," she said. "Which humans?" Kyung-soo asked, not looking up from his screen. "All of them." That made him look up. He followed his assistant to the observation deck. What he saw made his stomach drop. The human sector of the station was emptying. Ships were docked at every available port. Humans moved in organized lines, carrying boxes and equipment. They worked quickly and quietly. No one was running or shouting. They just moved with purpose, loading everything they owned onto their ships. Kyung-soo rushed down to the commercial district. The human shops were already closed. Security doors were sealed. When he checked the rental contracts in his system, he found cancellation notices filed for every single human-operated business on the station. All filed within the last hour. He caught one human merchant before she boarded her ship. Her name was Sun-hee, and she ran a shipping coordination business that handled logistics for half the station's traders. "Sun-hee, what's happening?" Kyung-soo asked. "Where are you going?" She looked at him with tired eyes. "Home," she said simply. "But your business, the contracts, all terminated. Legal and proper. Check your files, but why? Did something happen?" Sun-hee was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "We were told we're not equals. We were told to prove our worth through service. Through labor. We decided we'd rather leave. You can't just..." Kyung-soo struggled for words. "Your shipping network moves 60% of the goods through this station. Then I guess you'll need to find someone else," Sun-hee said. She turned and walked onto her ship. The door closed behind her. Within 24 hours, every human was gone from Nexus Trading Hub. They left behind empty warehouses, closed shops, and contracts that would never be fulfilled. Kyung-soo stood in the empty human sector, looking at all the vacant spaces, and wondered how he was going to explain this to the council. Far across council space, Dr. Min-soo was packing up his laboratory. He worked at the Xenobiology Research Center on Vel Prime, one of the most advanced scientific facilities in the galaxy. The center studied alien biology, trying to understand how different species worked at the cellular level. Dr. Min-soo had been there for 8 years. In that time, he and his human team had contributed to 47 major papers. They had discovered cures for 3 diseases. They had developed a new surgical technique that saved lives across multiple species. His Krillian colleague, Dr. Telvac, watched him pack with confusion. "I don't understand," Telvac said. "The research isn't finished. We're so close to a breakthrough on Velothian regeneration. You'll have to finish without us," Min-soo said, carefully packing his research samples. "But you're the one who figured out the cellular markers. You're the one who developed the protein synthesis method. Without your notes..." "All my notes are archived in the shared database," Min-soo said. "Everything I discovered is there for you to use. But we need you to explain it, to help us understand the next steps." Min-soo stopped packing and looked at his colleague. They had worked together for years. Shared meals. Talked about their families. Celebrated discoveries together. "The council decided humans aren't equals," Min-soo said. "They decided we need to prove ourselves through service. Through labor. That we're not ready to be partners." He went back to packing. "I'm a doctor. A researcher. Not a laborer. So I'm going home." "But this is bigger than politics," Telvac said desperately. "This is science. This is saving lives." Then the council should have thought about that before they voted. Dr. Min-soo left that afternoon. So did every other human researcher in the facility. The Xenobiology Research Center tried to continue their work, but within a week, 3 major projects had stalled. The breakthrough on Velothian regeneration never came. It turned out that 40% of their research success had depended on human insight and human methods. Without humans to ask for help, the remaining scientists had to start over on problems they thought were already solved. On the border between council space and the wild territories, Captain Bora was shutting down military observation posts. She commanded a company of human military advisors who worked with Council defense forces. They monitored sensors, analyzed threats, and coordinated responses to pirate attacks. The Krillian commander she worked with, General Vexnor, was furious. "You can't just leave," he said. "We have protocols. We have procedures. You can't abandon your posts without proper transition." "We followed all the proper procedures," Bora said calmly. She handed him a datapad. "All our equipment that we brought is packed. All the Council equipment is locked and ready for your personnel. All access codes have been reset. Everything is in order." "That's not what I mean," Vexnor said. His scales darkened with anger. "You've been running the sensor network for 2 years. You've been coordinating our rapid response teams. You've been analyzing pirate movement patterns. How am I supposed to do all of that?" "You'll figure it out," Bora said. "Your people are smart, capable, you'll manage, then we need more time. We need you to train replacements." The Council decided we're not equals, just laborers who need to prove our worth. So we're leaving. Bora picked up her personal bag. "Good luck, General. I hope your borders stay quiet." She walked out. Her soldiers followed. Within 6 hours, every human military advisor had left Council space. They took their portable sensor equipment with them. They deactivated the analysis programs they had written. They removed the tactical coordination software they had designed. The Council defense forces tried to take over the systems, but they quickly realized they had been relying on human expertise more than they knew. The sensor networks had been modified with human upgrades. The analysis programs used human algorithms. The coordination software was designed around human tactical thinking. Without humans to run it, the defense network was only half as effective. But General Vexnor didn't report this to the Council. He thought his people could handle it. He thought it would be fine. He was wrong. At a medical center on Thoria III, Dr. Yunji was saying goodbye to her patients. She had worked there for 5 years, treating injuries and illnesses across a dozen different species. She had learned Thorian anatomy and Felvian biochemistry. She had saved hundreds of lives. A young Thorian nurse, Milara, was crying. "Please don't go," Milara said. "You taught me everything I know. You're the best surgeon we have." "You're a good surgeon too," Yunji said gently. "You'll do fine. But what about the trauma protocols? The emergency procedures you developed? No one else knows how to do them. They're all documented in the medical database. Every technique, every procedure, every treatment plan, it's all there. But we need you to show us, to teach us." Yunji looked around the medical center. She had good memories here. Good colleagues. Patients who had thanked her with gifts and tears. This had been a good place to work. "The Council decided humans aren't ready to be equals," Yunji said. "They decided we need to spend a few more centuries proving ourselves. But I'm a doctor. I took an oath to heal. Not to beg for respect," she hugged Milara. "Take care of yourself. Take care of the patients. You can do this." Every human doctor left Council medical facilities within the week. They took their personal equipment and their specialized knowledge. The facilities tried to continue as normal, but problems appeared quickly. The trauma techniques Dr. Yunji developed had been adopted across multiple hospitals, but no one had learned the underlying principles. They had just followed her protocols. When unusual cases appeared, cases that didn't fit the standard procedures, the alien doctors struggled. People died who might have lived if the human doctors had still been there. But no one reported this to the Council either. The medical administrators were embarrassed. They had been so confident in their own abilities. They didn't want to admit they had needed human help. Back on the Council station, High Arbiter Velthus was reading reports from across Council space. Humans were leaving everywhere. Trade stations, research facilities, defense posts, medical centers, universities, agricultural projects, mining operations. Everywhere humans had worked, they were now gone. Councillor Thane stood in Velthus's office reading the same reports. "They're actually doing it," Thane said. He sounded surprised. "Let them," Velthus said. He waved one clawed hand dismissively. "This is a tantrum. They're upset that we didn't give them what they wanted. They'll calm down in a few months and come back, ready to negotiate properly. But the reports say they're canceling long-term contracts. They're taking research data. They're dismantling facilities they built. Then we'll build our own facilities. We managed perfectly well before humans arrived. We'll manage perfectly well after they leave." Velthus turned off his screen. "This is a minor inconvenience. Nothing more. In a quiet corner of the station, Counselor Rin sat alone in her meditation chamber. Humanity walked away in silence. The council regretted it immediately. The council chamber was enormous. It stretched wide enough to hold 5,000 beings from across the galaxy. Lights hung from the ceiling like small stars, casting everything in a cold blue glow. Ambassador Daewon stood at the center of it all, on a platform that made him feel very small. Around him, aliens of every shape and size sat in their assigned sections. Some had scales. Others had fur or skin that changed colors. A few didn't even have faces that Daewon could recognize. But all of them were watching him. All of them were waiting. Daewon had been talking for 3 hours. His throat was dry, but he kept his voice steady. He explained humanity's proposal one more time. Fair trade agreements, shared technology, mutual defense treaties, simple things that would help everyone. We ask only to be treated as equals, Daewon said. His words echoed through the chamber. We offer our knowledge, our resources, and our friendship. In return, we ask for the same respect you show each other. Behind him stood 3 other humans. Hana wore her military uniform, her posture perfect and her face showing nothing. Taehyun carried a datapad with economic projections that proved humanity could benefit the council. Jiwoo held research files that showed human scientific discoveries. All 3 of them had worked for months to prepare this presentation. High Arbiter Velthas rose from his seat. He was a Krillian, tall and covered in dark purple scales that seemed to absorb light. His eyes were yellow and cold. When he spoke, his voice carried across the chamber without any device to amplify it. The council has reviewed your proposal, Velthas said. He didn't look at Daewon when he spoke. He looked past him as if the human wasn't worth his direct attention. We find it inadequate. Daewon felt something cold settle in his chest, but his face didn't change. Humanity has been part of galactic civilization for only 50 years, Velthas continued. You are children. You are untested. Your history is filled with violence and chaos, wars, genocide, environmental destruction, and you want us to treat you as equals? A ripple of sounds moved through the chamber. Some aliens made clicking noises. Others hummed. A few actually laughed. Counselor Thane stood next. He was Viridian with smooth gray skin and 4 arms. His species had been part of the council for 3,000 years. He smiled, showing teeth that were too sharp and too many. Perhaps the humans misunderstand their position, Thane said. His voice was smooth like oil. We allow you to trade in our markets. We permit you to visit our worlds. We even share some of our knowledge with you. You should be grateful for these privileges. Privileges? Hana whispered behind Daewon. Her voice was quiet, but he heard the edge in it. Thane heard her too. His smile grew wider. Yes, privileges. You are here because we allow it. You prosper because we permit it. If you wish to continue enjoying the benefits of council protection, perhaps you should focus less on demanding rights and more on proving your worth. How do we prove our worth? Daewon asked. His voice was calm, but everyone in the chamber could hear the question beneath the question. Service, Thane said simply. Your species is strong, hardy. You breed quickly and work hard. There are many roles in the galactic economy that humans could fill. Mining operations, construction projects, agricultural development on harsh worlds. Show us you can contribute in these ways, and perhaps in a few centuries we will reconsider your petition. Daewon was quiet for a long moment. Behind him he felt Hana's anger like heat. Taehyun shifted his weight. Jiwoo let out a breath that was almost a laugh. Almost. You want us to be laborers, Daewon said. Not a question. A statement. We want you to be realistic, Velthas said. Every species must earn its place. Your species has not earned equality, not yet. Perhaps not ever. The vote was called. The council had 247 member species. Each one cast their vote by pressing a button on their seat. The results appeared on a massive screen above the chamber. Against humanity's proposal, 239 votes. In favor, 8 votes. Daewon looked at the numbers. He looked at them for a long time. Then he closed his datapad with a soft click that seemed very loud in the suddenly quiet chamber. I see, he said. He didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't list all the ways humans had already helped council species over the past 50 years. He didn't mention the human doctors who had cured diseases on 4 different worlds. He didn't talk about the human engineers who had designed better ship engines and shared the plans freely. He didn't bring up the human soldiers who had died defending council borders from pirates. He just said, "I see." Then he turned around. Hana, Taehyun, and Jiwoo turned with him. The four humans walked toward the exit. Their footsteps echoed. No one spoke. No one tried to stop them. Counselor Rin, a Melodian with translucent skin and a gentle voice, half rose from her seat. "Ambassador Daewon," she called. "Perhaps we could discuss—" "There is nothing to discuss," Daewon said without stopping or looking back. "The council has made its position clear. We understand now." The doors opened in front of them. Beyond was a hallway that led to the docking bay where their ship waited. The doors began to close behind them. Just before they sealed shut, Daewon raised his wrist and spoke into his communicator. His voice was quiet, but in the dead silence of the chamber everyone heard him. "Recall all human personnel from council space. Operation Exodus begins now." The doors closed. Inside the chamber, no one moved for several seconds. Then Velthus made a dismissive gesture with one clawed hand. "Dramatic," he said. "They will return when they calm down. They need us far more than we need them." But Counselor Rin was still standing. She was staring at the closed doors. Her species could sense emotions, feel the currents of intention and will that flowed through living beings. And what she had felt from the humans as they left wasn't anger. It was finality. "I think we made a mistake," she said quietly. No one listened to her. Outside, in the docking bay, Daewon and his team boarded their ship. Hana immediately went to the communication station. Taehyun began accessing files. Jiwoo pulled up star charts. "Send the signal," Daewon said.
"All stations."
"All outposts. All personnel. Everyone comes home." "What about the joint projects?" Jiwoo asked. "The research stations? The medical centers? Archive everything. Take all our data. Leave nothing behind. The defense agreements?" Hana asked. "Void them. Pull our observers. Deactivate our sensor networks. The trade contracts?" Taehyun asked. "Terminate them all. Every single one." The three of them looked at their ambassador. Daewon stood at the window looking back at the massive council station. His reflection in the glass showed a face that was tired, disappointed but determined. "They wanted to know our worth," he said quietly. "Now they're going to find out. They're going to learn exactly how much we contributed, and they're going to learn it the hard way." The ship pulled away from the station and turned toward Earth. Behind it, all across council space, humans were receiving the same message, and one by one they began to pack up and leave. The galaxy was about to change. The council just didn't know it yet.